In this video, I'm going to be identifying and discussing 8 intriguing Italian white wines. These wines come from grapes that are indigenous to Italy. There should be something for everyone, as there's some of these wines that sell for as little as $20 or less, but there's also a couple of them that are among the greatest white wines in all of Italy. The first Italian white wine I'll be discussing is Verdicchio, and in particular Verdicchio from Marche. If you're not familiar with Verdicchio, it has a pale lemon color, and it has flavors and aromas that include apple, lemon, blossom, fennel. It can have a slightly bitter finish, but it has high acidity and a medium body. One of my favorite examples of Verdicchio from Marche comes from outstanding producer Villa Bucci, and this particular wine is a Classico Superiore. Classico means that the grapes for this wine were grown in a historic production zone, which is generally the best place to be, and Superiore means that there are more stringent yield requirements, and so this wine will have greater concentration, intensity, and a little bit more alcohol by volume than some entry-level expressions. This impressive wine received a 95-point rating, and yet I found it available for sale even in the United States for only $20 a bottle. This is a tremendous wine and an absolute steal at this price point. Definitely one that you want to seek out. Arneis means little rascal, and this Italian white grape is aptly named because it's extremely difficult to grow. So difficult, in fact, that it almost became extinct in the 1960s. But Bruno Giocosa and one other Italian producer helped save it from extinction. And the Giocosa Roero Arneis is one of my absolute favorite white wines from the Piedmont region, and the next top Italian wine that I'm discussing in this video. I first discovered Roero Arneis when I was traveling in the Piedmont region of Italy, and I was looking for a white wine to pair with some of my starting courses, while the red wine was in the decanter. I soon discovered that this is an exceptional white wine for pairing with some of those early courses, and it goes extremely well with seafood and pasta, in addition to salads and other typical starting courses. Better still, Roero Arneis is typically found on most Italian restaurant wine lists, and so it's one that you should be able to find with no difficulty at all. Better still, despite the fact that Bruno Giocosa is a legendary winemaker, this wine sells for an extremely reasonable price. Even in the United States at retail, you can find it for around $30 a bottle, and on restaurant wine lists, it would probably be around $65 or so, and it's going to be even less than that in Europe. If you're not familiar with Roero Arneis, it can include flavors and aromas such as lemon, peach, pineapple, apricot, floral notes, and also some intriguing minerality that I appreciate. It tends to be around medium plus in body, and it can be a little bit lower in acidity, but it is generally quite well balanced, especially if you get the example from Bruno Giocosa or from Vietti, which is another Roero Arneis that I think is a pretty good example and one that I would recommend. Despite the fact that you generally associate top quality white wines with cooler climate areas, some of my favorite Italian white wines come from warmer areas to the south of Italy, including Campania. Campania has several excellent white wines, including Fiano and Falanghina, but my personal favorite comes from the Greco grape. And Greco does the best in Tufo. So Greco de Tufo is the next intriguing Italian white. The soils in Tufo are ideally situated for the Greco grape, as they have a mixture of clay and limestone. Clay is good for water retention, but limestone helps to ensure adequate drainage, and so these soils have a good balance of water-retaining properties and drainage that works extremely well for the Greco grape. Greco is also well suited to Campania because it's drought-tolerant and heat-resistant, but yet it also has naturally high acidity, which makes it an ideal pairing for food as well. Flavors and aromas of Greco de Tufo can include apple, apricot, almond, wet rock, and it also has a saltiness that I enjoy. But the thing I like best about Greco de Tufo is its high acidity, and so if you're a fan of high-acid white wines like I am, you'll definitely want to give this one a try. It's extremely enjoyable when it's young, but it's also age-worthy as well. You can keep it for 7 to 10 years without any difficulty at all. And at that stage in its evolution, it can become incredibly complex and show pronounced minerality that I enjoy. While there are a number of excellent expressions of Greco de Tufo, two of my favorite include the Pietracupa Greco de Tufo, which sells for around $30 a bottle in the United States, and also the Faudi de San Gregorio Greco de Tufo, which sells for around $20 and is also a commonly available wine on many restaurant wine lists. Olivio Flugateriate Alte from the Rosazzo DOCG, which is located in Friuli, Venezia Giulia, is widely considered to be one of the very best white wines in all of Italy. This impressive wine was first produced in 1981. Terre Alte is a historic vineyard in Rosazzo. This is a perfect area for producing outstanding white grapes, as there's a long growing season. This is made possible by the cooling and moderating influences from the Adriatic Sea, and also due to the beneficial impact of the Alps, which helps to shield the vineyards from some cool winds that would come from the north. This wine is a white blend that consists of 3 different grapes, Friulano, Sauvignon, and Pinot Bianco. This is a mineral-driven wine with ample acidity and even some texture that I enjoy. Flavors and aromas include a mix of fruit, including stone fruit, tropical fruit, and citrus fruit, and there's also some intriguing floral aromatics and flavors that I enjoy. If you're interested in wine recommendations, wine collecting strategies, and learning more about wine, please do subscribe to my channel. I've been collecting wine for more than 15 years and also have a level 4 diploma from the WSET. So I have both formal certification as well as substantial practical knowledge from the School of Hard Knocks. Many outstanding and impressive Italian white wines are produced in Alto Adige. This next intriguing Italian white wine is 100% Pinot Bianco. And this is as complex and dazzling a Pinot Bianco as you'll find in all of Alto Adige. The grapevines that are used to produce the fruit for this impressive wine are grown at elevations ranging from 450 to 650 meters above sea level. These impressive vines help to produce a wine that is mineral-driven and concentrated, but also has some elegance to it. It has a creamy texture and ample acidity. It's a serious wine that's capable of aging for up to 10 years or so. I'm talking about the Cantina, Terlano, Vorberg, Pinot Bianco Riserva. This impressive wine had 2 95-point scores for the 2018 vintage, and I found it selling for around $40 to $45 a bottle in the United States. But this is an excellent wine to look for year in and year out. Abruzzo is a very large region that's located between the Apennine foothills and the Adriatic Sea. The Apennine foothills provide some rocky sites with elevation, and that's where many of the best wines are produced. I recently published a video about Montepulciano di Abruzzo, and of course this region is known for producing excellent red wines, so definitely check it out if you're a fan of Montepulciano di Abruzzo. But Abruzzo also produces some outstanding white wines, and my favorite is produced from the Pecorino grape. Pecorino is a grape that's native to Abruzzo and it's naturally high in acidity. Flavors and aromas can include lemon, apple, sage, thyme, and wet rock. There's 2 different styles of Pecorino that are being made in Abruzzo today. The first is a wine that's released very early and which is designed to retain the primary fruit. The second is a more complex wine that ages for around 12 to 18 months in neutral French oak, which helps to give the wine a little bit more complexity and also some texture. Both styles of Pecorino from Abruzzo are shockingly affordable and are definitely the lowest price wines that I'm discussing in this video. Even the more complex examples tend to sell for less than $20. One of the producers that I really appreciate is called Pisetti. I especially enjoyed the Pisetti wine that was made from a selection of their best Pecorino, which is called Collecchivetta. That one sold for only around 17 euros, so definitely one that I would seek out if you can track it down. But I would encourage you to try lots of different Pecorino, as there's many outstanding expressions being produced, and many of them that are extraordinarily affordable. The next intriguing Italian white wine is Soave, which comes from the Veneto in northeast Italy. Soave is produced from the Garganega grape. Of course, the best Soave tends to be Soave Classico. Flavors and aromas tend to include pear, apple, melon, whetstone, and also floral characteristics. This is a bone-dry wine that has ample acidity. It's very refreshing, and it can have a mineral-driven finish as well. This is a wine that pairs extremely well with seafood and also with starter courses, My favorite expression of Suave is the Puripan Suave Classico Calvarino. This impressive wine is a blend that consists of 70% Garganega and 30% Trebbiano di Suave. This wine sells for around $40 and is very highly acclaimed, but they also have a lower priced option that's excellent as well that sells for around $20 per bottle. Another example of Suave Classico you may wish to consider is the 2020 vintage of Suave Classico from Inama Vigneti di Foscarino. This wine received 2 different 95-point scores and is very highly regarded. The next intriguing Italian white wine was first produced in 1995. It comes from southern Italy, and along with the Terre Alte, discussed earlier, is widely regarded as one of the very best white wines in all of Italy. Somewhat surprisingly, this wine comes from the Amalfi Coast DOC. I'm talking about the Marisa Cuomo Furore Bianco Fiorduva. I first discovered this impressive wine when I was dining in Rome last fall, and a sommelier suggested it. It was a brilliant wine that paired perfectly with a seafood sampler, with cod, and with scallops. Fiorduva is a blend of 3 obscure and indigenous Italian white grapes. These grapes are grown in vines that average 80 years of age on south-facing coastal terraces at elevations ranging from 200 meters to 550 meters above sea level. While you might think that the Amalfi Coast is too warm to produce high-quality white wine, in fact, it's an absolutely magical place to produce white wine. This is so because the elevation provides some cooling influences, and they also use pergola training for the grapes, which helps to shade them from the afternoon sun. There's a couple different ways that you can tell if a wine is particularly complex. One of them is the length of the finish, and this one had an extraordinarily long finish. The other is if you're able to readily identify numerous discrete descriptors, and here there were almost too many different discrete descriptors to recount. But the readily identifiable flavors and aromas for this wine included grapefruit, apricot, pineapple, mango, citron, peach, honey, almonds, jasmine, and wet rock. This wine was bone dry with impressive minerality and abundant acidity. Really an impressive wine with an extraordinarily long finish. Definitely one that I would seek out and make sure you get a chance to taste it. Certainly a worthy bucket list wine, and I can see why many people consider it to be one of the best white wines in all of Italy. If you're interested in more Italian wine videos, be sure to check out the playlist in the pinned comment below.